Well, hello, boys and girls. Hello, Suzy Q.
Hi, Miss Renee. Hi, kids. How are you out there?
Suzy Q, it's been a few weeks since we've been able to work together.
I have been so busy, Miss Renee. I've been all over the place at good news clubs and churches, and I just have a busy, beautiful life.
I hear you do.
Yeah,
Miss
I
Sandy
do.
keeps you going all the time.
Yeah, we just go, 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 go. What have you been doing?
Well, I work, and I do work with a little bit older children than the ones you usually see, but I
Oh.
work with kids in a school.
That's wonderful. You're good with children.
So I help them.
Oh,
I
that's
support
nice.
them with what help they need in school.
That's really good. I'm not surprised. You're really good with
Well,
that.
thank you.
Oh, yeah.
But I'm glad we're finally back together today.
Oh, hallelujah. We're together. Hallelujah.
Yeah. So, do you have any plans for the holidays that are coming up?
Oh, yes. I'm traveling.
You're traveling? Well,
Going here, there,
I have a
going here,
story
there.
about traveling and plans.
You go places?
I do. But this one is a story about some plans from years ago.
I go on airplanes.
You go on airplanes?
Uh-huh.
Well, I do that sometimes too.
Oh, good. Okay. Did you go in a car?
Well, for this trip, we were in a car or a
Okay.
minivan, That's
Oh,
what
yeah.
we all, as parents, we had minivans for a while when you had kids at home.
Lots and lots and lots of kids.
Lots of kids because this trip involved a trip with my youngest sister and her family.
That's a lot of kids, isn't it?
There were,
How
between the
many?
two of us, we have 7 kids.
What?
Yes, and then my other sister, my younger sister who lives out west, she has 4 kids.
Oh, my goodness.
But all of our kids are grown now.
Okay.
And there's a few grandchildren in the family.
That's really good, Miss
It
Renee. I bet
is.
you're a good grandma.
Oh, I love being a grandma.
I bet you do.
Yes. So this trip, though, was
Yeah.
over 20 years ago, Suzy Q.
That's a long time. I'm
It
20
was.
years old.
And so my younger sister and I planned a trip to go with our families to the beach in Florida.
Oh, I love the beach.
I do too. And
Yeah.
and our mom was going and our
Okay.
granny was going.
Wow, that's a lot of people
It
in the van.
was.
Was it one van?
And we had 2 vans. I had
Oh,
my van
okay.
and my sister and her husband had a van.
Lots
So we
of
were
kids.
in 2 vans.
2 vans. Okay,
Lots
of
of kids.
Oh, lots of kids. And you had a phone that tells you where to go.
No.
What?
Over 20 years ago, we didn't have cell phones in our car, Suzy Q.
What?
And
No
boys and
way.
girls, we didn't even have that big map up there in the front of your car called the navigation system that
No
you could
TV?
say, no TV.
Uh-oh, you're going to get lost.
Well, what we used to use, Suzy Q, was an actual paper map. You had
What?
to unfold it and look at the roads, find the town you were leaving from, find the town you were headed towards,
No way.
and plan your trip.
I'm already lost.
But see, Suzy Q, here's the thing.
What happened?
I kind of like planning.
Oh, okay.
But
Well,
I think
okay.
it's because I'm the oldest, and I think that's just what oldest kids like to do.
Yeah, they do. They like to take charge.
But that's just what happens.
Yeah.
So I like
It's okay,
to
though.
plan.
It's okay. Somebody's
I
got
do.
to.
And
Yeah.
so I liked looking at the maps.
Yeah, okay.
And even though we didn't have cell phones yet, boys and girls, and we
Yeah.
didn't have those nice navigation systems in our cars,
No TV.
no TVs in your car,
That's terrible.
we did have in our houses computers that had to be hooked up to the wall.
Oh, yeah.
And we could get on the internet and at least look at maps on the internet too to search for places.
That's good. That's good. That's
So that helped
Yeah.
a little bit with this
Oh,
trip.
yeah. Quite a bit.
Because on this trip, Suzy Q, my
Yeah.
granny had one request of us.
What?
You see, my granny, she was
Uh-huh.
the youngest in her family of
Okay.
12.
Oh, lots and lots of people.
And so when she was in high school,
Uh-huh.
she lived with her oldest sister who happened to live in a little town in Florida.
Okay.
And
yeah.
she lived with her and went to high school there and graduated high school there.
Okay, so.
So Granny wanted to know if we could take a trip through that town
Oh, okay.
where she could look around the town,
That's nice to
see
go
if she
visit.
could find a high school,
Yeah,
see if she
yeah.
could find her sister's house.
Go back where she grew up.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's cool.
So once I started planning,
Uh-huh.
the route that we would take was only going to be about 10 extra miles to go to that town.
That's not very far.
And that's always a neat thing for grandchildren to
Oh,
see.
I think it's wonderful.
Yeah.
Kids like to go places.
Yeah, and see where your grandparents went.
Bet they had to go to the bathroom a lot.
They did because
Uh-oh.
you know I told you we had 7 children. with us.
Oh my goodness.
But
Girls
Suzy
have to potty.
Q,
Girls have
it's
to
even
potty.
worse.
What?
4 of those 7 children
Yeah.
were age 3 and under.
Potty. Gotta go potty.
Yes.
Gotta go.
And
I'm
are we
hungry.
there yet?
I'm hungry. Are you there yet? I'm hungry. Are we there yet? Are you there
A
yet?
lot of that on the
Oh,
trip. Yes.
I'm so sorry, Miss Rene.
Yes. But we got it all planned.
Okay.
We made it to the little town.
Okay.
And we didn't quite find the house 100% sure because a lot of the houses looked different. They had been painted different colors.
Oh.
Porches were different.
I bet your mom was sad.
But she was okay. She was happy we went through the town.
Well, that's really fun.
And
You're
and
good
then
daughter.
and on my planning, I had found a perfect little spot for a bathroom break after we went through that town.
Now you're really smart, Miss Renee.
Yes.
I had to go potty.
We did.
Are we there yet? Potty.
So-
Are we there yet?
So we did that, Suzy Q.
Okay.
And then we're finally on the main highway that was going to take us all the way to the beach.
Oh, yay!
Yay! But I had planned because
Yeah.
I found on my search on the internet
Uh-huh.
a little creek or a small river that had some picnic tables.
Ooh, that's gonna be fun. Picnic.
But we were going to have to turn off that main road and go 3 miles off that road to find this spot.
Uh-oh.
But I had written it all down. I had my notes.
You have plans?
I had plans and I knew the name of the road. So I was looking for that street sign that said we were there.
Looking.
But
And
Suzy Q,
what happened?
we seemed to be driving a little bit longer than I expected.
Yeah?
And I said, I think that we missed the road. But I just don't know where it was.
Uh-oh.
I don't remember seeing a sign.
You're in trouble.
And of course the kids in my car, they were like, I'm hungry. Aren't we going to stop soon?
I'm starving. That's what the kids
Yes.
say. They say I'm
I'm
starving.
starving.
Yeah, I'm thirsty.
And I need to get out and walk around.
Come on, hurry up, get this trip going
So
here.
as I'm realizing we missed the road, we get to
Yeah.
the next little town, which told me we really had missed the road because we shouldn't have been in that town yet.
Mm-hmm.
But we get to that town, Suzy
Yeah.
Q, and it had 2 traffic lights.
Dude.
And the second traffic light was red, so we had to sit for a little while.
Okay.
And as I'm sitting there in my van, I looked out,
Uh-huh.
and right beside that highway, boys and girls, was another creek.
Oh!
And I noticed across the creek,
Yeah?
on the road that we were stopped at,
Yes?
there were some picnic tables and a playground and a little church.
I'm so happy. I want to go. I know the kids wanted to go.
Yeah, and there was
Oh,
a
my
little
goodness.
church there.
Oh,
So
no. Are you
I
kidding?
told my husband, I said, let's turn right, turn your blinker on. So
Okay.
then my sister behind me turned her blinker on,
Yeah.
and we pulled into the church.
Yeah.
And we went in and asked,
Yeah.
is it okay if we use your picnic tables to eat a quick lunch?
And they said yes.
They said yes, and you know what else they said?
What?
And let the kids play on the playground and come inside and go to the bathroom.
No way.
They did, Suzy.
God showed up.
He did.
God showed
It was a
up.
creek with a picnic table, just
Yeah.
like the one I planned. But
Better?
God showed us even more
Was it
about
better?
how He helped us out.
Here's a better plan.
He had a better plan. Do you know what the kids found, Suzy Q, coming out of the creek?
What?
Little tiny baby frogs.
Oh my God! I love baby. Oh, how many?
Hundreds.
Oh,
They had changed from being tadpoles in that creek.
Yeah.
Boys and girls, you know frogs are tadpoles first.
that's right. That's true.
And then they were jumping up the creek bank and hopping all over the grass.
That's right. They were so happy.
They were.
The kids were jumping up and down.
They were, and those frogs were hopping so fast.
You know what, Miss Renee?
What?
Jesus loves children, and He wants the best for them.
He does. Because
Yeah.
He always knows the perfect
Jesus
plan.
loves the little children. Had to
He
sing. I'm
does.
sorry, I had to sing.
That's okay. You know Suzy Q loves to sing, boys and girls.
I love to sing. Do you love to sing?
So they had fun playing with the frogs. They
Okay.
played on the playground. We all
So
ate.
much fun. Ooh,
All
yum.
the grown-ups had time to walk around and stretch our legs.
Yum. Food.
And then we loaded everything up, got back
Okay.
in the van.
And?
My sister's van would not start.
Oh,
The battery didn't make a sound.
No.
Not
no.
one single sound, Suzy
Are you
Q.
kidding me?
I'm not. And for a couple of minutes, we were all like, oh no, what are we going to do? We were halfway to the
Oh,
beach with a dead car.
Oh, no.
But then, my brother-in-law
Yeah?
and my husband, they went,
Yeah.
wait.
What?
right before we got to that traffic light,
Yeah?
I think I saw an auto parts store right around the corner.
No, that can't happen.
It did.
In the middle of nowhere?
in this little bitty town.
Oh my goodness.
It wasn't even as big as Palmetto, the town that we live near.
That's really little.
It was.
Oh my goodness.
But they took the battery out of my sister's van,
Okay.
took it in our van, went to the auto parts
Okay.
store, and the
Yeah.
battery was dead when they tested it.
Uh-oh.
So my brother-in-law bought a new battery. They
Yeah.
came back and they put it back in the van,
Yeah.
and it started right up.
That's a blessing.
It was a huge blessing, boys and girls.
Oh my goodness, God went before you. He prepared the way.
He did.
He did.
But
Wow.
you know,
Wow.
as wonderful as all that was, Suzy
Yeah.
Q, once we got back on the highway, boys and
Yeah.
girls, I was a little bit upset still. Because
What?
I made all those plans
Miss Renee, what?
and I missed the turn.
Miss Renee.
I know.
Miss Renee, you know better than to
I
not
know
trust
it
God.
now.
Oh,
But at the
okay.
time, I was just still frustrated that I missed the road
Well, you were in charge.
because I was in charge.
That's right. And you know what?
What?
God's in charge.
God's in charge. And do you know what? My mother had to remind me of that.
Oh, you're sweet, Mama.
Because she noticed that I was upset, Suzy Q, and she says,
Uh-oh.
"Now, Renee,
Renee.
do you realize that if we had stopped where you planned to stop, there probably weren't bathrooms,
No.
there probably wasn't a church,
Oh, no.
and it was a little bit further from the highway, so there probably wouldn't have been very many people coming by,
And no frogs.
no frogs,
No
and we
fun.
wouldn't have known that the next town is the one we needed to go to for help."
And you need a battery.
And we didn't know that for sure it was the battery. But so if my husband and brother-in-law had to leave to go for help, us
Uh-oh.
4 women would have had to stay with all 7 kids in the middle of nowhere.
You know, God goes before. God has a way, and His way is straight. I love you, but His way is best.
His way is best, because here's what I forgot to do, Suzy Q.
What?
When you're making plans, boys and girls,
Yeah.
always pray and ask God to help you see what His plan is. Even for the simplest things.
I do, Miss Renee.
Even as simple as Miss Sandy and Suzy Q and I planning to record this video.
Yeah.
We asked God to show us the best way to share it.
I know we did. We did, and He has done that.
He did. And in doing that, Suzy Q,
Yeah.
God showed me somebody in the Bible that He had to remind the same thing to.
Well, you know, that's what the Bible's about. It's examples of how we should do things by listening to God.
Exactly. So, Suzy Q,
Yeah.
this story in particular makes me remember that. Do you remember the video we shared of the little boy named David who killed Goliath with a slingshot and a stone?
Yeah, I like that story. It's a
Well,
great story.
you know, eventually, boys and girls,
David.
David became king of Israel.
He was the king.
And everything we read say that he was a man after God's own heart.
He loved God.
He did.
Even though he did things wrong, he loved
He
God
loved
more
God.
than he loved sin. He said, "I'm sorry when he sinned, but he loved God."
Yes. And so God blessed him in many ways.
He did a lot of trouble.
And David, as king, wanted to build a permanent temple.
Good for David.
And so he made all these plans
Did he
of
ask-
what to build it out
Did he
of.
ask God?
No. So
Uh-oh.
God had to remind him through the prophet Nathan, who was a really good friend of David.
Yeah, Nathan and
And-
David were friends.
And so the Lord sent Nathan, and he told him, he says, "Look,
What did he say?
the Lord declares to you that He Himself will establish a house for you." That's what He's doing for David.
Uh-huh.
And when your days are over and
Yeah.
you're at rest with your ancestors, you know, in heaven,
Yeah.
He said, "I will raise up your offspring to
Oh.
succeed you,
Okay.
your own flesh and blood, David,
Okay.
and I will establish His kingdom, and He is the one who will build my house."
Oh, but David was sad.
He was. But do you know, you read about that in 2 Samuel, by the way, boys and girls, you'll see the verses over here. But
Yeah.
later on we read in Chronicles how David was relating the story to his son Solomon when it
Yeah.
was time to build the temple.
Oh.
And he had made so many plans that he was able to share those with his son.
Well, and then it turned out okay.
It did.
But David really
But
needs to
God,
listen to God's
yes,
plan.
because God always has a better way.
God's way is better. Trust God. Ask God to lead you and guide you everywhere you go.
Exactly.
Right?
Yes.
Because chance is better.
It is.
He might know
And
better
on my
protection,
own
huh?
journey, Suzy
Yeah,
Q,
yeah.
there have been so many things in my lifetime that I know without a doubt that I only survived those events because God was there with me.
I know
And-
that, Miss Renee, because it
and-
happens to me.
Yes, and so boys and girls, this story is
Yeah.
one that I have written and shared on a blog so
Oh.
that grown-ups and maybe even teenage brothers and sisters can read.
Your mamas can go to that.
Yes.
Yeah, kids, get your mamas to go to Miss Renee's blog. It's really, really good. Lots and lots and lots and lots and lots and lots of people read it because it's her life story.
So I'm going to put a slide at the end of the video
Oh,
that
okay.
says where you can find my blog.
Oh, you gotta tell your mommy and daddy
Yes.
and your sister, everybody about Miss Renee's blog. It's got hundreds of people reading it.
It does.
It's really good. It's her story about her life and how she follows God.
Exactly,
Right?
because he knows the best way.
I love you, Miss Renee.
And I love you, Suzy Q.
We're such good friends.
We are.
I'm gonna try and I follow God even more and just make sure every morning I say, God, lead the way.
Exactly. I ask him every morning to be my hands, my feet, my eyes, and my ears, and to guide me the way he wants me to go.
Wow, I got hands, I
You
got
do.
feet, I got ears,
And you got eyes.
I got blue eyes.
You do.
All right, that's great, kids.
All
I
right.
love y'all. Well, that's a great story, Miss Renee.
Well, thank you.
I love you.
All right, boys and girls.
Bye.
We'll see you soon with another story from the Bible.